the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the Minister of Water and Environment, the Republic of Uganda, I welcome you all to the 8th Uganda Water and Environment Week 2025. As part of the week, we'll also celebrate 3 international sector days, namely International Day for Forests, World Water Day, and World Meteorological Day. The Uganda Water and Environment Week is being celebrated under the theme Water and Environment Resources for Enhanced Resilience and Improved Incomes and Livelihoods. This is the 8th year we are holding the Uganda Water and Environment Week. A lot of lessons have therefore been learned since 2018, but we continue to learn and innovate. We continue to address any shortcomings that emerge as we celebrate these annual events. We have walked this journey with many partners and collaborators, and we continue to call upon other partners to join us as we organize this annual event. I'm happy to note that a number of organizations and individuals continue to pick interest in being part of these annual events. With less than 10 partners, organizations in 2018, I'm very happy to note that we are now 90 partner organizations working with the Ministry of Water and Environment to organize these regional and national Uganda Water and Environment Week celebrations. I therefore wish to thank all those partners and stakeholders who have worked tirelessly with my ministry over the last 8 years to ensure that the Water and Environment Week takes place every year and becomes bigger and better. I wish also to thank the team from the Water Resources Institute, that is the engine that keeps the Uganda Water and Environment Week moving, for the good work they continue to do every year. I would like in a very special way to thank the members of the national and regional organizing committees for their tireless efforts that have contributed to making WEC events at national and regional level very colorful and impactful. To the ministry teams from the 6 regions, thank you for embracing Uganda Water and Environment Week and for mobilizing relevant stakeholders at regional levels to participate in the regional celebrations. To the gallant sons and daughters of Uganda, the workers from the Workers' Association of Uganda that work every year for the cause of water, environment, and climate change, we are proud of you. You have covered 317 kilometers in just 12 days and continue to do wonders as you raise awareness about water, environment, and climate change issues. Please keep it up. In a very special way, I'd like to thank the youth for their interest and active participation. And this year, for the first time, we have the Miss Climate Change event that was organized by the youth at their own cost. And I would like, in a very special way, to ask the Miss Climate Change Uganda and the runner-up to stand for recognition. Ladies and gentlemen, Uganda Water and Environment Week cannot have any meaning without your participation. We thank you for sparing your valuable time to join us this year once again. Your contributions are all very much valued and appreciated. I thank you and wish you a fruitful week. With this, I'd like to call upon our Minister, Honorable Beatrice Atimanywa, to come in, give her remarks, and then invite our chief guests. We are moving quickly because today is Cabinet Day, and the guest of honor has an agenda during Cabinet. Please bear with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, PS Dr. Alfred Okiri. Our chief guest, the Right Honorable Justin Kasule Lumumba, the Minister of for general duties in the office of the Prime Minister, the UNDP representative, the Archbishop's representative, the honorable members of Parliament present, all the invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's a bright day. Right Honorable Chief Guest, we have a bright day and we are very humbled to welcome you to this ministry. We are so grateful that you came. I wish to welcome you really heartily for accepting this invitation, not only as our chief guest, but as a colleague. It is most appreciated on behalf of my ministry, and I also want to bring you greetings from my senior minister, Honorable Chief Torres, who is disposed. He should have been here with us, but he sends warm greetings. He appreciates. I talked to him last night. I wish to welcome everybody for this this Water and Environment Day, which has commenced today, 17th March, and it is going to end on Friday, 21st. Our guest, Uganda Water and Environment Week, is a week-long event that is organized annually by my ministry through the Water Resources Institute. The event has evolved and grown to become a flagship program for advocacy, influencing, information sharing, and learning within the water and environment spectrum. Over the years, the event has attracted a cross-section of water and environment actors and stakeholders at the national, regional, and international levels, including high-level politicians, cultural and religious leaders, academia, amongst others. During the last year's event, related to water and environment, climate change have been held at the national and regional and international levels too. The Uganda Water and Environment Week 2025, therefore, has given a special attention to the outcomes and recommendations of this very event and will explore their implications to Uganda. Right Honorable Chief Guest, the UWEC, the Uganda Water and Environment Week, which is a resource for enhancing, that is its theme, for enhanced resilience and improved income and livelihood, is the theme we have advocated for discussion. All this will be aimed at generating and sharing knowledge and information on water and environment resource and how to address challenges these resources are faced. Our chief guest, whereas Uganda is considered to be endowed with water and environment resources, it is important to note that these resources are dwindling amidst the climate change challenges that include the high population growth, poverty, industrialization, and the effect of climate change, among others. Uganda is therefore one of the countries that is highly vulnerable to the effects of climate change due to the exposure to the climatic hazards and its limited capacity to cope up with the climatic shocks. Climate change severely impacts the vital sectors of the economy, exacerbating the vulnerability of the population and reduces the effectiveness of government socio-economic development efforts. Climate change has been projected to cost 3.2 to 5.9 billion US dollars per year, with the most impacts registered on the water, energy, agriculture, and infrastructure if no climate action is taken as per now. Dear Chief Guest, the reviews of the various national development plans from NDP 1 to NDP 3 has been attributing the failure to achieve the country's development targets, especially on economic growth, employment, and export volumes, and income poverty largely to climate change and its impacts, considering that Uganda's economy is largely nature-based. Accordingly, while Uganda's boasts of remarkable biodiversity within her protected areas, the integrity of her natural landscapes beyond these designated zones are greatly diminished over time. Deforestation, degradation of forests, grasslands, and wetlands have become prevalent, while quality of the lakes, rivers, and other water bodies has significantly declined. Additionally, soil fertility is on a downward trend, posing considerable challenge to a sustainable agricultural practice. The rapid growth of Uganda's population exhibits these challenges as it increases pressure on the natural resources. Dear guests of honor, the forum like this provides an opportunity to discuss issues affecting water and environment resources with a view of collectively determining the course of action. This is the reason why my ministry has maintained the Uganda Water and Environment Week over the last 8 years. We are now living in an ever-changing environment, and these are many emerging issues of all the time, which calls for continuous engagements and dialogue with all actors and stakeholders. We are therefore determined to continue holding these events annually. We appreciate the government for recognizing the importance of water and environment resources by putting in place policy and legal framework for their sustainable development and management. Our dear guests, despite the above recognitions, the ministry is faced with many challenges which are greatly constrained implementation of its core functions and attainment of mandate. And this includes, but not limited to them, 1, the inadequate financing of key interventions coupled with the recent budget cuts. Currently, Right Honorable Chief Guest, we are operating at only 46%. Yet, what is expected of this ministry is enormous. 2, the water and environment resources management efforts have been constrained by continued degradation of water catchments and the general environment, degradation, inadequate protection and maintenance of water bodies, including river banks and lake shores. This resulted in high costs of supplying water to the population. Water pollution, the third one, is a widespread, exacerbated by increasing discharges of untreated wastes, indiscriminate disposal of plastics, high-level metal deleted into localized areas, and proliferation of dangerous invasion of weeds, such as water hyacinth and Kariba weeds. Chief guest, Uganda is vulnerable to the effects of climate change. With low capacity to cope up with these challenges, the over-reliance on the rain-fed agriculture, which is sensitive to weather patterns, puts Uganda at risk of food insecurity, loss of livelihoods, and shortage of raw materials for value addition. The wetland restoration and conservation efforts are constrained by weak enforcement of policies and laws, limited viable alternative options, and increased encroachment attributed to unplanned urban development and unsustainable agricultural practices. The potential of land, natural resource, and environment to drive growth is hindered by weak land administration and management, reduction in wetland and forest cover, vulnerability to climate change, and high population levels, limited application of science, technology, and innovation, limited value addition in forestry, limited capacity to tap climate finance, undervaluation of natural resources, and weak institutional coordination, enforcement, and implementation of policies and laws. Our chief guest, ladies and gentlemen, despite these challenges, my ministry and its partners remain steadfast in delivering water and environment services to the people of Uganda. We shall use every opportunity, though, to strengthen our water and environment resource management systems in order to attain the ministry's strategic objectives. We are confident that with support of your office, Right Honorable Chief Guest, development partners, and all other stakeholders, we will make significant strides towards safeguarding Ugandans' natural resources, improving environment governance, mitigating the impacts of climate change, and promoting climate resilient development. I wish to thank our development partners, international and regional organizations, the NGOs and CBOs, for partnering with us to safeguard our water and environment resources against the above-mentioned threats and develop them for income generation, wealth creation, employment. They have done a great job, which must be applauded, friends. In a special way, I wish to thank our partners who have been with us and continue to support us technically and financially every year in and out for the Water and Environment Week that we have celebrated for the last 8 years at national and even at local level. They have supported various activities organized through our 6 regional offices based in Moroto, Lira, Fort Portal, Mbarara, Wakiso, and Mbale. They have made it possible once again for this event today to happen, and I really want to applaud them very much. I wish to also to thank my technical team led by my PS, Dr. Alfred Okiri, and supported by the Water Resource Institute for working tirelessly to successfully organize this colorful 8th Uganda Water and Environment Week. Indeed, it is so colorful. Thank you. We are proud of you. We, as your political leaders, and on behalf of my colleagues, Honorable Aisha is ahead in cabinet, and as I said, my senior minister is also out of the country. We are really proud of our team and our development partners. Thank you for that. Dear honorable guests of honor, once again, allow me to thank you in a more wholeheartedly gesture on behalf of all the people gathered here for taking off time. Your busy schedule, you are supposed to be moving towards Entebbe, and I should have apologized before because you couldn't get me, but all the same you are patient and you have made it come and officiate at this opening session of the Uganda Water and Environment Week 2025. Your presence is a manifestation that what the ministry is doing is recognized at a very high level of this government. We assure you, Right Honorable Chief Guest, that the outcome of this gathering will be taken very seriously by my ministry as we put in place actions to conserve and protect our water and environment sector. In the same vein, I want to thank all people in their various capacities who have come to participate in this week-long event. Your participations, friends, cannot be taken for granted. We hope that by the end of the week, we shall come up with recommendations that will be useful in guiding the ministry and other stakeholders to move the agenda forward. I wish you all a very fruitful and successful week-long event. Chief Guest, with that, allow me to take this singular honor to invite you, Right Honorable Chief Guest, to address this gathering and thereafter open this Water and Environment Week 2025. I really want to thank you for God and my country.
Thank you so much, Honorable Beatrice Anywa Atim, Minister of State for Environment, but holding the portfolio of Minister for Water and Environment. Honorable Beatrice, Honorable Aisha Sechin, who have just been informed that proceeded to Parliament, to Cabinet, the representative of the United Nations Resident Coordinator, the representative of His Grace, the Archbishop Semwogerere Paul, the Archbishop of Kampala Archdiocese, members of Parliament. I've seen Honorable Ariko Herbert is present here. Members of the Diplomatic Corps, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Water and Environment, representatives of the different development partners, religious leaders, traditional leaders, the keynote speakers and panelists, the gallant sons and daughters who are they've named workers, the climate change beauties, exhibitors, representatives of the private sector, those who work with us in this field, in this area, in this sector of water, different stakeholders, officials from the different departments of government, those who are here and those who are online, and in a special way the media that is carrying the message to the people now and even after. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to represent the Deputy Speaker, Right Honorable Thomas Tayebwa, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, who didn't make it, but given the importance of what water is in the lives of everybody at individual level, at household level, at community level, at regional level, at global level, he had to find somebody to come and carry the message. This is the 8th Uganda Water and Environment Week. You've carried it on so far sustainably for 8 years. Congratulations. When Honorable Beatrice Anywa, before I read the Deputy Speaker's message, when Honorable Beatrice Anywa was talking, I'm sorry to say this, but I'm always open to myself and to the people I work with and those around me. I was looking at somebody who was talking, and in my own view, my personal assessment, I saw somebody who is underestimating the power she has, the power they have as a ministry, the power they have as a sector, the power you have as people who are stakeholders and offering a service in this. Just imagine you woke up one day, if you had the power, and you said you are denying everybody water, and for whoever is in Uganda, you remove even the water that is in their body. What will be the effect? It will mean death. So once you have the power that can even cause life or deny life, that means you are more important than everything. So I want you to have that in your mind as the minister, as the technical people, the PS led by the PS, and then you will know that you are the most important ministry in this country. You are the most important ministry on earth, not only in Uganda, and that is only the component of water. But how about when you look at environment? Because if you decided to remove all the trees, where will we have the oxygen from? So if you deny us the oxygen, then how will we survive? Are we going to create our own oxygen other than the oxygen? Even what you have as artificial oxygen has the component of the natural oxygen that you generate. You, the people who are in the sector, you who lead us in the sector, have that. And when you are requesting for resources, no, you are requesting resources from the people who you also know that without your effort, they will also not have life. So as a minister who is in charge of SDGs, I want to tell you that when you look at all the 17 SDGs, you are in everything. You are in everything. So when we are talking about SDGs locally, talking about SDGs internationally, you are in it. When we have our first SDG and second one, no hunger. What does that mean? You cannot talk of food before you talk of water. You must have water in your body before you talk of food. But even when you are talking of food, for you to produce that food, you need water. Whether you are in a greenhouse or you are doing it the way we do it locally here, God-given good soil, organic soil, you need water. But even the component of water in a plant. And apart from that, for you to prepare food for an individual to eat, or even before you talk of preparing, you must wash. Even if you are going to eat a salad, you need water. For you to eat the salad, you must first wash it. But even before you even cook, you must also first wash before you cook. And when you are cooking, you need water. I'm explaining this because I want you to know the importance, the magnitude of your presence in the lives of people. So when you are looking at all of the SDGs, whether in the galaxy, whether on land, whether below land, whether in water or under the sea, it is all about water. So when you get to the table where they get away the knife, she's talking of the budget cuts, just put your issues clear and say, if you don't give this, you are going to deny people life. If you don't do this, people will fall sick and you'll spend more money in health. You'll spend more money in agriculture. So, Minister of Water, just to be water itself and environment, you'll get what you want. But what you require is just to be tactical. You should also become tactical because the issues of resources are always at the center. But when you become tactical, you will succeed. When they are discussing issues to do with agriculture, the language is changing because of the parish development model, where we used to say that provide water up to the gate of a farm and you go away. That is for the big farms. But under parish development model, we are now talking about water for the ordinary person. The 38% we talk about, they need water. But even those who are slightly above the 38% people we talk about, they also need water. And now the language has changed because we are now saying, if I'm rearing my pigs in my home, in my backyard, I don't want to go and get water from the community source. Because if those animals that have gone there to share the water with us have issues, they are not healthy enough, I'll transfer that to my animals at home. So the peasants are demanding that provide for us water for the safety, for our own prosperity in our homes. If you want us to prosper. That means Ministry of Water, Ministry of Agriculture, you will not separate. Because that means you must bring for us water up to household level. And if we are saying we don't want to share that water at community level, then you must devise means, devise ways using technology of how to bring the water to us in a safe way. That means you are going to bring in clean energy, the solar, to be able to provide, to pump water to our smaller homes. You have a lot of work to do, Ministry of Water and Environment. And I'm happy that I'm addressing all the stakeholders when it comes to this. So for us to succeed, we who are looking after goats, we who are looking after chicken, we who are looking after cows, we need water in our homes. We no longer need water at community level if we are to succeed. So you as the Ministry of Water, together with stakeholders, I want to suggest as somebody from the office of the Prime Minister, that means that the policy you have on water, the policy we have on environment, you must now change it to be tailored to suit our needs. And I want you to live with that today, that you are going to change the policy PS to make the water available to us at household level. If we are to succeed and be able to mitigate issues of diseases, human beings, and also animals, possibly even plants, they are yet to advise us on that. So that means your scope, your role has now gone beyond where you have been. It is now more detailed and it's urgent. So work on the policy very fast so that you get to, and that will also help you to bring in more resources. Still at this, when it comes to issues to do with the industry, with industries, people want now water in their industries. And manufacturing is no longer only in industrial parks. People are now putting up cottage industries at home. They need water. they need water. So it is a home, but at the same time it's an industry. So you must provide for us water at that level, but that means also you must work on the policy. Because these are new things. Things have changed. The demand, the structure of the demand, the scope is changing, and we expect you to provide. And when it comes also to issues to do with the hospitals, government is now elevating health center 2s to health center 3s, especially in the communities that don't have health center 3s. But you have provided water up to health center 3. So we now want water at health center 2 as we move down. And also we are creating more and more administrative units. So you must also match the demand, because the population is also increasing, like you have brought it out clearly. So, Ministry of Water and all the stakeholders, we are banking on you for prosperity. For both the big, the large scale, and we, the peasants, the small people in the villages, we all need you to be able to succeed. So you have a very big role to play, in addition to prosperity, but also in our lives. Because if you decided to suck out water from our bodies, I don't know how we shall survive. Just to walk with your heads high, beginning this 8th Water and Environment Week, by demonstrating to everybody how important and how useful you are. So whoever deals with you, whether we as the office of the Prime Minister or government or Parliament, we should deal with you purposefully, because you are also so purposeful in our lives. So I want to take this opportunity to thank the leadership of the Ministry of Water and Environment for inviting the Deputy Speaker to come and officiate at this. At the onset, I wish to congratulate the Ministry of Water and Environment and all your esteemed partners for organizing this event consistently for the last 8 years. You would have found excuses in between and said, no, let's now push on, but you have not. This is a clear manifestation of your consistency in ensuring that you account to the people, you account to the country, you account to the people in the region and all the stakeholders, the resources that you were able to access, how you have been able to achieve, demonstrating value for money, but also committing yourselves that you are able to do more, much more. If you are given more space, more resources. That in itself is a very good action, and I want to applaud you and encourage you to move on. Maybe what we should add on is that when you have the national function, after that, can we go down and go below the region and get to the district level? Because you are one ministry that sends money to the districts, but in some instances, the resources you send are misused, either by government at the local level or by the private sector. Because the private sector, though funded by development partners, that's still our share, and a share to that community from those development partners who decided and accepted to work with you to serve that community. The importance of the Water and Environment Week cannot be emphasized beyond accountability and value for money, but also being able to tell ourselves where we are and are we on the right track? Are we meeting the challenges? And if not, how are we able to mitigate the challenges as a team, as a group? So group responsibility makes each other to be keepers of each other, but also most importantly, to know that you are not alone in the struggle. So the resources that you have are so vital in sustaining life, but also maintaining the climate. Sustainable management and development of water and environment should be put top of the agenda of any country, whether developed or underdeveloped, because the actions of the developed countries affect the underdeveloped, but equally the actions of the underdeveloped affect the climate or issues to do with the weather of the developed countries. So coming together to work as a group is important. Access to adequate, clean and safe water and sanitation is a human right as enshrined in the Constitution of Uganda. However, the country continues to fall short of this obligation, with just 67% of the population in the urban area, in the rural areas accessing clean water, clean and safe water, and 73% in the urban areas having access to safe water. With regard to socio-economic development, the country is largely dependent on environmental and natural resources. For example, with the intensification of climate change that has resulted in unreliable rainfall, water has become very central to agriculture and the mainstay of Uganda's economy, from which about 85% of the population derives their livelihood and income. There is no doubt that provision of adequate water for agriculture through irrigation will spur transformation of the country through increased productivity for both livestock and animals. And like I said before, we want water now at household level, for both home use, for hygiene, but also for prosperity. Uganda was declared the Pearl of Africa a long time ago because of its beautiful environment that has existed since the world was created. But me and you are mutilating it, are clearing it, like we don't want to continue to be called the Pearl of Africa. There were very beautiful and amazing sceneries all over the country that led to that declaration. However, these are soon becoming history as the natural resource base of the country, especially natural forests and wetlands, are more threatened now than ever before. As the population increases, it's becoming like it's normal to destroy. This has to stop, and you are our leaders in this sector. Every day you see reports, whether in the media or even when you are moving, the encroachment on forests and wetlands, the river banks and the water catchment areas. The way we are degrading the lakes, we who come from the shores of Lake Victoria, we have cleared the forests around the lake. And when we bring in the fertilizers and manure in our gardens, when it rains, all of these are washed into the lake. And when we keep complaining that the water in the lake is dirty. And yet it is our actions that affected the color and the quality of water. In addition, we continue to see the intra and inter-agency coordination also becoming poorer, because we are now also operating sometimes in silos. Agriculture, water, Office of the Prime Minister, Ministry of Energy, and yet our actions, when well coordinated, they will bring meaningful and useful use of these natural resources. So we must work together, both government and private sector, because we are in this journey together. On behalf of the Office of the Prime Minister, where I work, I'm representing the Deputy Speaker, we remain committed that we are going to improve whipping you as sectors by doing better and improving on issues to do with coordination. From the policy perspective, the NRM manifesto commits government to protect and preserve the country's ecosystems with a view of utilizing these resources for nature-based tourism, environment and climate mitigation, and sustainable use of communities, especially neighboring the protected areas and the wetlands. At policy level, We have done our best, but we must now change to put in the challenges that we are faced with, where the communities are demanding for services at household level, not community level. I'm conscious of the fact that resources allocated to the water and environment-related programs are lower than expected and not commensurate to the demand. Government is responding to this challenge by putting in place strategies and mechanisms for mobilizing innovative financing from various sources, including carbon credit, among others. These strategies and mechanisms are being utilized before they are implemented. I wish to challenge you to utilize the available resources more efficiently and effectively, PS, and also putting in the component of following the resources you have sent to the different sectors. I want to applaud the private sector, the civil society organizations, the cultural institutions, the religious institutions, because you have all played a very big role. This is one sector. When you move in the country, you will find the different stakeholders having a role and improving on the lives of the people, especially in line to do with the sector, but in the sector of water, but also indirectly and positively affecting prosperity at household level. I implore you as stakeholders in the water and environment and climate change sector to perform your roles and improve on coordination also at your levels. If you are in a community and you are all offering the same service, let the Ministry of Water in the districts also bring you together to make sure you all understand and appreciate everybody's efforts in addressing the challenge before us. The theme of the 8th Water and Environment Week is indeed intriguing. Water and environment resources for enhanced resilience and improved income and livelihoods. The theme is challenging all of us as individuals and institutions and government to realize how these resources are key in our livelihoods and well-being. Our survival and that of generations that will follow us will depend on how we preserve these resources. Considering that the focus of government now is on eradication of poverty and improving household incomes and livelihoods, and that many government programs such as Parish Development Model, Women Fund, and youth programs are geared towards this objective, the theme rhymes very well with the long-term plans of government. I therefore wish to request all the participants of the 8th Uganda Water and Environment Week to critically discuss how water and environment resources can be sustainably developed and managed for inclusive growth, employment, and wealth creation, as well as peace and sustainable socio-economic transformation of Uganda. When we talk of peace, some people look at the other side of the guns and whatnot. But when it comes to water, if the resources of water are not managed properly, they cause insecurity beginning from household level. If you don't have enough water in the community and the wife has to travel a kilometer or two to go and fetch water, it will cause disharmony in the home and it may affect the future of that home or even a clan. If we don't manage River Nile properly, it will cause us insecurity with our neighbors, because you see how we are at the center, but look at the various countries that are affected because of our actions on River Nile. So, if we don't manage them well, tomorrow guns will come out. So, as we manage the resources in water and environment, know you're also playing a very big role to do with issues of security. Our efforts do not only contribute to the regional level, but also contribute to achieve the international agenda and obligations such as Sustainable Development Goals, which is 2030, we must have achieved. And how many years? now less than 5 years to go. Africa Agenda 2060, so under African Union still, we're also still remaining with few years. Then Water Action Decade, Biodiversity Conventions, then the Paris Agreement, among others. So we are committed at country level, regional level, but also at global level. And that means we must also put in efforts to move together as a team. I therefore have a lot of hope that this event will come up with concrete outputs and outcomes that can assist in propelling the country forward. Achievements of what is set to our national development agenda, that is Vision 2040 and the National Development Plan 4, with its goals and targets, and what is set at international level, can only be achieved through such arrangements. And the outcomes will be very useful to us. And we shall need concrete but practical outcomes and recommendations. Before I conclude, I would like to applaud and appreciate the different development partners, international and local organizations, non-government organizations, community development organizations that have continued to support government in its endeavor to provide services to the people. In particular, your support to the Ministry of Water and Environment that has enabled it to continuously deliver water and environment services to the people of Uganda. This cannot be taken for granted. We want to appreciate you. However, we still have a long way to go, and I therefore appeal to you to continue supporting the ministry, the NGOs, and the CBOs to perform this function, because if we don't perform, if you don't work with government on this, like I said before, we can easily lose lives of human beings and animals and plants. The Deputy Speaker, I want to say this, Right Honorable Thomas Tayebwa, promises full support on issues to do with water and environment in Parliament. It is my prayer that you will have very fruitful deliberations during this week, and that the outcomes will contribute to the development of Uganda and the world at large. It is now, therefore, my honor and privilege to declare the 8th Uganda Water and Environment Week 2025 officially open for God and my country. I would have stayed longer, but like my colleague has told you, I have a paper on cabinet, and I have to be there in the cabinet by 11:30 to be able to present my paper. But I had to come because, like I said before, you are offering a service which, if not offered, we shall lose our lives, including myself, even you, the service providers. So we are all important in this. Let's continue moving together, work together as a team, but most importantly, you hold our lives. So when you are negotiating for resources, especially with us who are seated on the table that goes to cut, whether using a razor blade or a knife, just remind us that you are doing it for the good of our lives. Thank you so much.
Thank you, our chief guest, and thank you really for sparing time. In the interest of time, we do not have a lot of time. I request my minister to give an appreciation and say thank you for the support that you have personally rendered to the sector and for the fights you have put for us. She's actually one of the very strong voices always in cabinet when it comes to water, environment, and climate change.
Right Honorable Deputy Prime Minister. Are we audible? Oh my God. We really greatly appreciate your presence, your words of wisdom, your pledge of support to this ministry, in the presence of all the stakeholders which are here. We want to appreciate you. We want to appreciate you. Please keep us in mind. You are always our advocate. In Parliament, you are so inspiring. And therefore, when you get this small gift from us, let's keep in touch. For God and my country,
Thank you so much. I want to appreciate this. It's not common, and I'm not used to this. Because for me, the life I've lived, I've not been on the other platform where people are appreciated and given much. I've been more on the other side of requesting people to know that we are there and we are ready to work with them. So I really appreciate. But why I pay much attention to water is because I grew up in a village where water was just in a depression, where there was a depression in a stone. So when it would rain, water would remain there stagnant. And what would happen, the cows would go to the same to drink water. We would go to the same place to fetch water for home. The snakes would go to the same place to get water. And also the dogs would go to the same place to get water. It is under this NRM government that that managed to bring us from that, now that we have safe water in my village. So I know what it means. And the first borehole we first received was from Church of Uganda. So the second borehole was from government. So that's why I also appreciate the private sector, civil society organization, because I know the role you play. You are all very important, and please continue. God bless you. The giver was giving, not knowing. There is also something for her as the giver. I want to thank the PS appreciating his minister and the technical team. Can we clap for them? So on behalf of the Right Honorable Tayewa Thomas, and also on behalf of the Ministry of Water and Environment, we want to appreciate you, Honorable Beatrice Atim Annual, for she wants to be called Mama Mavira. That is the name which people know. For all the efforts you have put in before you even joined the ministry on issues to do with the conservation of the environment, preserving our heritage, because the environment is part of our heritage. So as we spoil it, we're also spoiling our heritage. And also making sure we have water in our communities. So we are here to appreciate you. We as government, Parliament, the executive and Parliament, and the Ministry of Water and Environment to be singled out, but most importantly, development partners, CBOs, NGOs, religious and cultural institutions. Thank you, we appreciate.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable, and our chief guest.
Right Honorable Chief Guest, I just also want to really appreciate my team for really recognizing their political help. And this is on behalf of all of us. It is not only me, it is for all of us. I just want to say asante sana. For the final commitment, Right Honorable, I just want to, I had kept this quiet, but I think let me say it. The 9th Water and Environment Day. We don't want to see plastic in this room. We must lead by example. So my organizers, my team, please, let's kick plastic out of this ministry. Polythene bags, and the rest will follow us, for God and my country.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, Honorable Minister, as you go, lead our guests of honor to sign on that very important board. Yes. Artists, you are ready? He also walked for the 317 kilometers and he kept on drawing along the way. Members of Parliament, can you please accompany the ministers and you sign? Honorable members of Parliament, please go and sign. Honorable Songa, climate change. Civil. Honorable Kayo. After that, the MPs will come together with our ministers, we take the photo, the anthem, and then the ministers will go to cabinet.
We'll have our group photo here with the chief guest, and we wanted to involve, yes, our development partners in the water space. Please come. We have several water partners. P.S. You have seen them. You can identify them.
The most colorful man in the room, and my brother, Chairman Kotido. Come.
He's very easy to identify. Our climate ambassadors, our queens are also joining. I just wanted to prepare the team at the back. The Honorable Minister said this time we must have the East African anthem. So I hope you now have the East African anthem. And so we'll then later have the anthems in reverse order. And we want to appreciate the Honorable Minister for finding time to join us this morning. I see the cameraman wants to guide. Feel free. Oh, excellent. Our chief guests have been asked that we can seat some of us and then the rest of us will stand behind you, since it has become too wide and the lens is not as wide for some people. So Honorable Minister right in the middle. The members of Parliament will join you with the PS and our Minister of State. And then our queens and all our other stakeholders. There you go. So to the technical team, I'm just preparing you. We'll need the anthems in reverse order very shortly. And then I will allow for our chief guest to depart. She's running to cabinet where she's presenting a paper. And then we will continue with the opening session, the second session of the opening ceremony of this 8th Uganda Water and Environment Week. Thank you very much, our chief guest. We'll now stand for the anthems. We can now just stand for the anthems. May we have the anthems in reverse order, please. Technical team. All right. We will then have. I found that not so many people can sing the East African anthem. I want.
The Right Honourable Deputy Speaker of Parliament, represented by the Minister for General Duties in the Office of the Prime Minister, Honourable Justin Lumumba, the Honourable Minister for Water and Environment, Honourable colleagues, Members of Parliament, development partners, the Permanent Secretary and the technical team of the Ministry of Water and Environment, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I have a simple job to do. I have been advised that I am to introduce my colleagues that are here with us and thereafter make one or two remarks. I would like to introduce right in front of me the Honorable Lawrence Bika Songa. The Honorable is a Member of Parliament for Ora County in Zombo District, but most importantly, is the Chairperson, Parliamentary Committee on Climate Change. On the extreme from our side right is the Honorable Fred Kayondo. The Honorable Fred Kayondo is Member of Parliament for Mukono South constituency. He is a Member of Parliament on the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources. You're welcome, Honorable. We should be having from my committee, oh, I can see there's one there. The Honorable Seth Wambede. Honorable Seth Wambede, please rise up. Honorable Seth Wambede is Member of Parliament for Mbale City, Northern Division. He is a member of the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources. You're welcome, Honorable. The person that speaks before you is Herbert Edmund Ariko. I am Member of Parliament of Soroti City East Division. I am the Chairperson, Committee on Environment and Natural Resources of Parliament. I am happy to be with you, and on behalf of the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources, and indeed on my own behalf, I would like to congratulate you, Honorable Minister and PS, on this 8th Water Resources Week celebration, in which we bring together people of different walks of life, but all with the same mind of ensuring sustainable use of water resources and sustainable management of environment. As a Committee of Parliament, we are your partners. You are part of us, and indeed, together with you, we have a duty in ensuring a sustainable livelihood for all our people in the country. We will rest assure you that from the political part of it, you will always receive the support of the committee. We will work frankly, honestly, and openly with yourselves to see that Parliament passes all policy directives and all legislation that is geared towards ensuring sustainable use of our natural resources as a country. We want to say that we are happy to be here. 2 or 3 other colleagues will be joining in accordance to the invitation that we received. They may have been held up in their constituencies, but be rest assured, we are glad to be part and parcel of this sharing. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and I wish you a fruitful week and very interactive deliberations. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Honorable Herbert Ariko, together with your colleagues, for coming to participate in this 8th Uganda Water and Environment Week. And we really thank you for the leadership and for the support that the Member of Parliament give us in terms of policy appropriation, etc. Next, I would like to request from UNICEF, one of the partners we work together with, I think it's Dr. Robin, to come and give his remarks. You're most welcome.
Distinguished guest, I would like to say that Dr. David Nandi, who was supposed to be here, had to fly out of the country for some emergency, so he assigned me the responsibility to speak to you all on this occasion. I don't have much to say actually. I normally don't make a long speech when I come to this kind of forum. My name is Lalit Patra. I am the WASP manager for UNICEF. Thank you, Honorable Permanent Secretary Dr. Alfred and distinguished guests once again, Dr. Kalist, Honorable Member of Parliaments, whoever are here, just to start my points. First of all, UNICEF works for a very specific agenda, the rights and well-being of children. I think we all know that. So it's a very common theme, and when it comes to the water resources, like I would first say that our basic aim is to make sure that the child critical services are well supported. And for the child critical services, it comes to like water supply and sanitation in the communities, it comes to the water supply sanitation in the basic institutions like healthcare facilities, education facilities, and the institutions like ours here, and public utilities as well. So, so in that sense, one of the basic things which we need to ensure that the water is available, and water is available in the fresh form. And I think there are two key things here, like one is the water as conservation is important, we all know that, but water resource protection in terms of pollution-free water is also important. I think this has been said by distinguished guests in the earlier points. Like, so our support to the government will be always in the direction in which the freshwater protection is well ensured. And in addition, when this climate change and climate adaptation measures are concerned, we are always with the government. There are two things which is going around, maybe many of you know or many of you don't know, that one is National Adaptation Plan for Water and Sanitation that is being developed by the government with the Ministry of Water and Environment. That is one thing. The second thing, National Water Sanitation Policy is also being developed. That is also another thing, which are probably two basic things which will support our next endeavors. Particularly, I am aiming at a big potential work together with the ministries and with the government in general to make sure that we have a good investment in that area. Apart from the government's own investment, of course, development partners will invest it, that is very sure. But at the same time, we need to attract also other resources like from the climate funds, Green Climate Fund, Environmental Facility Fund, and those kind of funds, which is probably very critical to the government. And I would just say that we are with the government, with the Minister of Water and Environment, with water resource component and also water supply sanitation component. Will be very much assuring our support, and will be working for the technical assistance also on the resource mobilization. That's what my representative has passed on to me to thank you all and to grace the occasion in that way. Thank you so much. Not much words. I think our messages are clear. We are very much into this business.
Thank you, UNICEF, and thank you for the support that you have been giving to the program, and we look forward to continued support together with all the other development partners that we work with. At this juncture, let me just do a quick introduction, but I'm going to do it in groups. The members of Parliament have already been recognized. I've seen the leadership from the local government. I have seen my brother from Kotiris already. I've already introduced him. Heads of agencies or their representatives here. National, what you could stand up and let people see you. I see NEMA, NFA. They see the non-state actors, civil society organizations represented here. Please stand up for recognition. People from the academia. I have a very strong The development partners, please, can you stand up? I should have mentioned it much earlier. All the development partners represented in the room, please stand up for recognition. Thank you. The very important estate that is taking over from us now, that is the youth. I've seen you in a number. There are school children here, students here. If you know you are a youth, stand up. The workers, you have already been recognized, but your key, please. The directors, commissioners from the Ministry of Water and Environment, please. Assistant commissioners, all stand up. The members of the National Organizing Committee who are here, please stand up. Gwendolyn and team. And of course, let us all clap for the media. I think this brings me to the end of the official opening ceremony. And next, MC, back to you. Thank you, and thank you for really listening. Have a fruitful duration.
Thank you very much, PS. Can we appreciate Dr. Alfred Okoto-Kidi, ladies and gentlemen? So two things are going to happen. We'll have a short video that speaks to this, the 8th Water and Environment Week. And then I'll invite our high school that has been standing by, Rock Hill High School, to share with us a small presentation here. But first, let's have the video, and then I'll invite Hill High School to come and entertain us. Video, please.
With the break of dawn over the effects of climate change, this year's Uganda Water and Environment Week will explore approaches for translating science and innovation for effective and efficient use, development and protection of water and environment resources for a sustainable future. This will cascade into the role and centrality of water and environment resources for increased production and productivity as guided by the National Budget Framework Paper for Uganda. The 8th Uganda Water and Environment Week 2025 will be held from 17th to 21st of March 2025 at the Ministry of Water and Environment Headquarters in Luzira, Kampala, preceded by various mini-UX pre-event activities held at regional level. As our climate changes, the way we manage our water and environment must evolve too. Together, let's join forces as we hold the 8th UWEC 2025 under the theme Water and Environment Resources for Enhanced Resilience and Improved Incomes and Livelihoods. The UWEC will create a powerful synergy that will drive impactful solutions for water and environment resources management and utilization across all the sectors, nationally, regionally, and internationally for future generations. Join global to local voices this March as we take a stand for our water, our environment, and our communities in a quest to build resilient communities and improve lives and livelihoods. Uganda Water and Environment Week 2025 is organized by the Ministry of Water and Environment through the Water Resources Institute. Uganda Water and Environment Week is where ideas meet action. Be a part of the change. Join the Uganda Water and Environment Week 2025.
All right, thank you very much. We'll now turn to Rock Hill High School, who can take to the stage. We invite them to take to the stage. Yes, PS, as they come. PS, you're allowed to interject me anytime. Rock Hill, get closer.
Thank you, Maurice, and thank you really for giving me this moment. Ladies and gentlemen, part of the opening ceremony we had the Archbishop His Grace Paul Semogerere, who was supposed to give us an address. He has sent in a representative, and allow me at this juncture to call upon Father John Peter Musumba, the Director Caritas Kampala, who is representing His Grace, to come and give the message, and thereafter, the young ladies and gentlemen will do what has brought them here. He delayed because he's fasting for all of us sinners. This is Lent. Thank you.
Protocol observed. It is with great joy and profound gratitude that I stand before you today as we gather to celebrate and reflect on the 8th Uganda Water and Environment Week. This important event reminds us of the responsibility we share in safeguarding God's creation, a responsibility that is central not only to our faith, but also to the well-being of future generations. As church and state, we have a long and natural gift that God has given and entrusted to our care. We believe that it is our duty to protect and nurture the environment, ensuring that it can continue to provide for us and for those who come after us. Pope Francis, in his encyclical Laudato Si', urges us to recognize that the health of our planet is complicatedly linked to the well-being of all its inhabitants. We are called to care for our common home, and this includes addressing the challenges of water scarcity, pollution, and environmental degradation. Today I would like to focus on one of the most vulnerable and often overlooked gifts from God, and that is wetlands. Wetlands, as many of you know, are crucial ecosystems that play a vital role in our environment, and particularly in purifying water that, if managed well, enhance resilience and improve incomes and livelihoods. Wetlands are nature's filtration systems. They naturally cleanse water by trapping and filtering out pollutants, sediments, and harmful chemicals. These valuable ecosystems are rich with biodiversity and play a critical role in maintaining the balance of the water cycle. Wetlands function like sponges, absorbing and storing water like dense vegetation helps filter out contaminants from runoff before they reach the water bodies. By trapping excess nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus, wetlands prevent these substances from polluting our rivers, lakes, and maintain a healthy aquatic ecosystem, and ensure that we have clean water to drink, to wash, to use in our daily lives. Wetlands also offer a solution to the challenges of the water treatment. Instead of relying solely on artificial filtration methods that can be costly and energy intensive, we can look at our natural wetlands as effective and sustainable models of water purification. If we restore and protect these wetlands, we enhance their capacity to purify, store, and maintain the ecological integrity of our landscape. The Church recognizes the vital importance of wetlands in ensuring sustainable water resources for all Ugandans. So as stewards, we are called to protect these fragile ecosystems from degradation. We must advocate for the responsible use of wetlands and work to halt the encroachment and the urbanization and agriculture and industrialization that threatens their survival. I encourage all of us, especially the faithful, to understand that our environmental actions, no matter how small, have an impact on the health of our wetlands and the water systems. Simple actions such as avoiding their destruction, planting trees around them, and supporting the local communities to do sustainable practices that will go a long way in preserving these systems is critical. We must educate our people about the importance of these wetlands through programs in schools and in local communities. We can raise awareness and help others understand how they contribute and protect our environment. The call to action. In conclusion, let us remember that the conservation of our wetlands is not a mere environmental issue. It is also a moral imperative. As the Church, we are called and we promise to be witnesses of hope and agents of change in protecting the environment. The care for the environment is part of our faith's call to love our neighbor and to ensure that all people, especially the vulnerable, have also access to clean water and a healthy environment. I call upon all of us here today, government officials, civil society, faith communities, and individual actors to join hands in preserving the wetlands of Uganda. Let us work together to ensure that we pass on a legacy of sustainable water resources and a thriving natural environment to our children and generations. As we move forward, let us draw inspiration from the words of Scripture. The earth is the Lord's, and in everything in it, the world and all who live in it. Psalm 24, verse 1. Let us care for this earth with the same love and reverence that God has shown us. May God bless our efforts, guide our actions, and protect our wetlands and waters. Bishop Paul Semogerere, the Archbishop of Kampala.
With your permission, PS, I invite our minister to come and make a small token of appreciation to the Archbishop.
Thank you very much, the representative of the Archbishop, for those inspiring words and for your presence here. As a Ministry of Water and Environment and all our development partners, we want to appreciate you with a token just to say, Asante Sana, on behalf of everybody.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. All protocol observed. My name is Nimaro Malinoto, and this is Rock Hill Secondary School. It is located along Port Bell Road, Luzira, opposite Nile Breweries. We are here to present a poem about water and environment entitled From Thirst to Abundance. Please enjoy.
From thirst to abundance. From a thirsty environment with scarce water, a cry arose. For water's touch, a gentle dose. 7 years passed, a steady stream of hope and change, a vibrant dream.
An 8-year bloom from 2018 to 2025, there is a water's promise, attracted by high level of political participation, Vice President, Chief Minister, Chief Justice, Ministers and MPs, heard the people's plea, joined for all to see.
The earth, once parched, began to bloom, with life renewed, dispelling gloom. The air grew clean, a breath of peace. As forests flourish, as sweet tree leaves, new life arose, a harmony of nature's prose.
From fields once barren, with water's grace, income grew, human health. For pure water is a gift so grand, brings strength and joy to every hand. It's everyone's responsibility to let water have a peaceful flow. It will sing a joyful song of life restored where it belongs, a testament to human will to heal the earth and nature's thrill.
On behalf of Rock Hill Senior Secondary School, my name is Kaira Godfrey Waswa. I would like to take this opportunity to thank and appreciate the Ministry of Water and Environment for organizing the Uganda Water and Environment Week. The Uganda Water and Environment Week has many aims and objectives, but the overall theme is water and environment resources for enhanced resilience and improved incomes and livelihood. Thank you for attending.
Can we give them another round? Thank you very much. Very smart, very neat. Thank you. My name is Jen Navinya Mulumba, and I'm co-supporting my good friend Maurice Mugisha, and I'll take you through with him our next session. For those that have been participating in the Water Week, what is different in this room? Or it's not different? Can we give a long, loud applause to the PS and the team at the Ministry of Water and Environment for changing the room, painting the room. It looks beautiful. We thank you very, very, very much. And even the seating is different, but I think we'll get used to it. We are getting into our panel, the first panel of our 8th Water Week. And technical team, please just shout out. Are we ready? Professor Hash is online? Okay. We will have our first plenary, but before the plenary, we have our keynote speaker, Dr. Nagaraja Rao Hash. He's a friend of the ministry, he's a friend of Uganda, so we just say Dr. Hash. Dr. Hash, are you online? Can you hear me?
Hello, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Dr. Hash, can you greet the people?
Hello, everybody. Great to be here.
Thank you very much. He looks really relaxed, but it's very early in the morning where he is. So thank you very much, Dr. Hash, for joining us.
sacrificing your sleep to join the 8th Water Week. The room is full, Dr. Hash, and everybody is looking at you. So we are all happy to see you. Dr. Hash will take us through the keynote, which is Water and Environment Resources for Enhanced Resilience and Improved Incomes and Livelihoods. Dr. Hash, over to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Jane. And it's great to be here as part of the Uganda Water and Environment Week. And I also would like to let you know that this background is so much better than my kitchen that's back there. So you're getting the better version of the visuals. So very quickly, what I'd like to do is to give you a quick flavor of some of the aspects of water and environment that could be used to improve resilience and incomes and livelihoods. And this is where Uganda is not alone. Everybody is trying to do this in terms of trying to see how they can make their water and environment resources more sustainable and how these could be used for what they often call is the triple bottom line. That's looking at issues of environment, social, and economic aspects. Whether you're looking at the air, water, land that we just heard from the kids, as well as looking at some of the aspects of biodiversity and climate resilience, or on the social side, access to basic services, nature-based livelihoods, and poverty alleviation and social resilience, as well as to see how this could help contribute to jobs, agriculture, blue economy, tourism, and other aspects. But this triple bottom line also faces many challenges. We over-extract water. We have, as we heard from the Reverend, a lot of wetland loss that's there. We have a lot of land degradation, a lot of aspects of being able to not protect very well our biodiversity, and aspects of climate change which are becoming more and more important, as well as issues on looking at poverty, inequity, trying to make sure that we all are keeping up with all of the different aspects of technology and other aspects that are changing, as well as the world that we live in, to make sure that we can help both benefit from it and to contribute to it. In this kind of a world, there's a lot of changes that are happening. Climate's changing, we're becoming more urbanized, everybody wants changes yesterday, as well as this technology that's changing. Now, in this regard, I'm supposed to be a global lead for disruptive technology at the bank. But what is disruptive technology? It's one aspect of it many people think about is that we are better connected today. We have ways in which internet is better. I remember the internet in Uganda over the last decade and a half, and I can see it's much, much better today than it ever was when I used to visit. So that's one aspect of it, right? But there's a whole new world of what's called disruptive technologies there that we need to really think about. One is new ways to disrupt what's called the data value chain. That's going from data to information to knowledge to decision support. So new ways to collect data from sensors on the ground or from satellites in the sky or drones, or being able to analyze these using a lot of new tools that we now have access at our fingertips, as well as a lot of AI use, which we'll come back to, so that a lot of this data can help actually support decisions, whether it be planning or real-time decisions. Similarly, just like the software, the hardware is improving as well. There's new 3D printed aspects, there's new ways of doing 3D printed housing for monitoring systems, which drops the cost by a couple of orders of magnitude. You also have new ways of thinking about robotics or automation or new materials that can be used, and also new ways to connect people up together, like we are doing right now across the world, but also ways of sharing thoughts, ways of sharing ideas, having hackathons, using different aspects of technology to learn better and be able to both access and contribute to global good practices that are there. So all of these could really change development as we know it in terms of being able to benefit from a lot of these changes in these three categories, to think of a whole new life for the next generation in places like Uganda especially, where you have so much in the way of both human resources, but also in the way of looking at the addressing all the challenges that we face. On the data side, this would integrate a lot of new ways to collect data from what we call bottom-up system sensors, as well as top-down systems, or looking at digitizing documents to save them from the termites, and being able to use a lot of these new buzzwords of technology so that anyone managing any natural resources systems, water, environment, and so on, can have the information that's required at their fingertips. And you've already made great strides in this direction. And one of the things there is to think about new ways to integrate new types of data. Nowadays, any modern new phone can do LiDAR surveys, or you have new ways to look at what kind of biodiversity there is just by doing an eDNA sampling, or being able to look at video and audio images that you can use in virtual reality and other aspects by 360-degree views. New ways to involve communities in a lot of this monitoring, where they too can become part of the whole network of being able to monitor how things have changed according to different watershed management activities. For example, has the river become more perennial? Is there less turbidity in the water, and so on? And also the new revolution that's happened is on Earth observation, whether it be from satellites, drones, or even heliborne surveys, which you now can use for looking at 600 meters below the surface, what's the structure of the Earth, to help with modeling and so on. And being able to leverage all of these with new kinds of sensors for scanning the remaining forests in Uganda or the wetlands in Uganda, to get completely new insights, whether you're using drones or using people walking through these systems where possible. And with a lot of these types of new technology, you also have ways of visualizing things in new ways, whether it be 2D maps, 3D maps, or 4D maps, 3D maps changing over time, or using interactive graphics or virtual reality or augmented reality. So these may look like science fiction, but a lot of these are already there, and it's time we scale up a lot of the use of these so that we don't have to stare at tables of numbers anymore, but we can make the data speak to us as we go up the data value chain, from data to information to knowledge to decision support. So seeing the kids there reminded me that I too have a team here which we call our kids, Knowledge, Information and Data Services Help Desk, which involves me surrounding myself with people much smarter than me, who can help bring a lot of information together and help become the tech whisperers at the bank as well. So through this, we are trying to develop something we're calling the Livable Planet Observatory. And some aspects of that are to help develop different types of platforms where you can access data. I'll send this presentation around, so please do check these out. You can access something like 3 billion observations for 5 million species globally through the Global Biodiversity Information Facility data. You can access data related to which areas are more or less impacted by deforestation and other aspects around the world. You can look at stream flow forecasts anywhere in the world, Or, for example, if I were to show you what this could look like here, you could say there are new kinds of data sets that are coming in which we didn't even know existed, we couldn't even know existed a few years back. For example, Google and Microsoft have come up with a new buildings data set for the entire world. So imagine being able to see every building in the world as delineated by artificial intelligence using a lot of the high resolution satellite data that's there. So you have, for example, if you look in Entebbe, any one of these buildings that are out there, all being delineated with the help of AI. People are now doing this to also delineate farm fields and other aspects. But with these, you can do amazing things such as be able to leverage this data along with other data sets to see which data are in different kind of zones that we have of risk, or be able to look at this for the entire Lake Victoria Basin or any of these kind of areas by leveraging a lot of the new tools that we have accessible in this regard. You also have new ways to look at drone data and be able to explore not just visually at very fine, let's say 1 or 2 centimeter resolution, what's the latest position of civil works in any of these areas, but also use cloud services to be able to look at which areas are above a certain elevation or below a certain elevation, or being able to do even simple visual spatial kind of analytics on it. For example, if you wanted to get a sense of how much that length was or that area was, to be able to do these on the fly, or even more complex cross sections to see what that area looks like. So to leverage a lot of these and also being able to access these with simple tools, we are developing a livable planet explorer as part of the observatory. And the idea is to look at every power plant in the world, for example, which many different sources of this one's from WRI, for example, or to collate other kinds of open data sets that there are, including data related to different types of background information. So you can go to Choga wetland and be able to look at it in very fine high resolution, or if you wanted to have a look at where all the people live or where all the cattle live, or being able to look at a lot of the different climate or environment related data sets, including which of these areas are currently protected. Uganda is one of the countries that's striving to protect now 30% of their land by 2030. So which will the next areas be when you combine these with other biodiversity and other data services that are around, and being able to leverage these kinds of data, not only within Uganda, but also in the neighborhood. You could start looking at to see how can we work across borders, for example, as you're doing in Mount Elgon and other places, to be able to leverage protection of that entire area that you're looking at, right? Similarly, there's a lot of new data sets with regard to building stocks or other types of things in these areas, or all the power transmission lines and so on. Also, a lot of our colleagues in other agencies, for example, the UN in FAO, have some excellent tools which we are also trying to make more accessible. For example, if you wanted to see the forest canopy of the world, to be able to quickly access data such as these, or in fact, there's now even better versions of these data sets that are being done using AI, in this case by Meta and WRI. They've tried to heroically develop a 1 meter by 1 meter database of forests for the world, where you can see how high the trees are. A lot of these need a bit more training with data on the ground, but it shows you what's coming down the pike in terms of new types of data services that are there, and being able to leverage a lot of data when it comes to either changes in land cover or rainfall or looking at all of these and making them accessible at your fingertips going ahead. But finally, I'd like to also mention that the big change that's coming is in AI, and it's something which we just can't ignore. There's one school of thought that thinks it's the best thing since sliced bread. It'll help us do all of these routine works really well and create all kinds of new jobs and so on. But there's the other side of it which needs to be managed, which is that it has a lot of bias, there's lots of issues with privacy, cybersecurity, the energy water requirements for training it, or that it could even become an existential threat in some ways. So all of these risks need to be managed to better use the power of AI in terms of being able to think about how this could be used to help think about new aspects of being able to fill in data gaps that are there and do improved forecasts, or being able to create new data sets, which I mentioned. For example, people have mapped every tree in the Sahel using AI, all the 10 billion trees, or created these new forest or farm or other types of data services that could be there, and be also able to do a lot of new kinds of cloud analytics called Geo AI, and be able to transfer all of this into new decision support tools that are around. And a lot of these will enable us to think very differently, to do things which people used to reserve for really big projects, now for every project to develop a digital twin so that it lives in the digital world as well as in the real world, to be able to manage it better or plan for these better going ahead, or develop new systems to pay stakeholders for protecting forests, or to do things such as improve the land management so that it doesn't degrade better, using a lot of these kinds of new tools. But all of this requires us to think differently, because as Rumi said in the 13th century, if you think about the elephant in the dark room where everyone feels an elephant and comes up with different ideas for what that beast is about, the same thing happens in a watershed type setting, whether we're looking at the Lake Victoria Basin or the Nile Basin or any of the different sub-basins, Lake Choga Basin and so on. There are people who will be looking just at the climate aspects of it, or just at the agriculture aspects, or just the forestry aspects. And that is like all of us feeling a different part of this watershed to come up with our limited angle on what this watershed is about. But we really need to look at this as a whole so that we can begin to see the beast in all of its glory in terms of how to address these issues. So I won't go into these. There's lots of things we can do in terms of improving the way we do the 3 I's, information, as well as institutions to help modernize our work here, and in terms of new kinds of investments that could be prepared that are both climate resilient and smart, and also provide a lot of ways of both sustaining our natural resources as well as being able to, in terms of aquatic terrestrial resources and biodiversity resources that we have, as well as being able to use this in ways in which we can improve incomes and livelihoods by new information systems, new institutional aspects, as well as new types of investments that we can think about in the future, so that it benefits everyone in society, including the poorest, right? And today we have all this at our fingertips with a lot of new technologies. So let's please start using this and doing even more than what you've already achieved so far. So happy exploring, and great to see you all today. And please remember, we either disrupt or we have to be disrupted, right? So thanks again.
Thank you very much. Can we make it louder? Who is not overwhelmed with that presentation? If there is somebody in this room who is not overwhelmed, then probably you can excuse yourself, because Dr. Hash really gave us some good meat without bones. One quick question for Dr. Hash.
Yes.
Only one quick question for Dr. Hash. and details of Dr. Hash, please check the program, page 37. I didn't want to even read it out. I don't think I wore the right shoes to read it out. Page 37 of the program. One quick question for Dr. Hash. And Dr. Hash, as we agreed during our dry run, if you have some time, please keep around. You never know. Who has a quick question? Yes, Dr. Joyce.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Hash. It's very comprehensive, and it has left us really asking ourselves so many questions. Where do you see us starting from, since you know a little bit about us here at within the sector? What would be that low-hanging fruit for us? Thank you.
Dr. Hash, you got the question?
Yes, I did. Thank you very much for that question. And I think that's a very good question. They often quote an African proverb, right, where they say, how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is supposed to be you start with the first bite, then it becomes easier. I need to find a better version of this because I'm vegetarian. But the key here is, I think, to try and think about all the low-hanging fruit that are all there for the taking, right, around us. One is, how do we benefit from other people's work? Because there's a new world out there with new kinds of data and analytics that we really are starting to learn from. And this is changing every day. And this is something which I think with a lot of the folks that you have, with Kalist and others, you've already been trying to do this. But can we think about better ways in which, let's say, maybe students can help people who are, especially at all levels, but especially people doing their graduate work, can be part of this through internship programs like you've tried in the Nile Basin work, or being able to explore how Uganda can help make more of its data more easily accessible and organized, so that you can use a lot of these new ways of being able to do cloud computing, leveraging not only global data sets, but your data sets to make things even better, and leveraging tools to improve early warning, to help look at building on the 4 or 5 catchment zones that you've made. For each of these catchments, developing detailed knowledge bases, which then can be made more public, and especially engaging the new generation in new ways. We've been doing some hackathons and other aspects where there's smart people everywhere. So it's a matter of seeing, can we make more data and information and knowledge in the public domain, so everyone can help contribute towards these kind of solutions that are there. And I think if we look at also how Uganda is not an island, although it has many, but is part of larger systems, whether we are looking at the Nile Basin or whether we're looking at other aspects here, it becomes important to see what role Uganda could play in terms of leading a lot of the other activities that could be there, to be not just being able to benefit from the rest of the world, but contribute to the rest of the world with a lot of the talent that you have in country. So I think a lot of the problems that seem intractable today in terms of looking at the many challenges of pollution and climate and over-extraction that we have today, all of these can be addressed with the talent that you have assembled there and outside, who can all be part of the solution by leveraging all of these new technologies, because that's what has really changed. And so the more we can socialize within ourselves the new technologies, and this is something we are all learning every day, every one of us. And it's also a great leveler in many ways, because things that many countries had done many years ago are all obsolete. We make something new today and it's obsolete because there's technologies galloping at such a rapid pace going ahead. So, many ways in which this can manifest itself, and we And I hope that all of you can do an amazing job for leading up to the next Water Week that you have to showcase some of these types of progress as well.
Thank you very much, Doctor. A round of applause for Doctor. And an excellent question from Dr. Magara Joyce. The last few water weeks, we've had hackathons. The doctor has mentioned hackathons several times. We have smart people everywhere. Aren't we all smart? We have smart people everywhere. We can work with students to help us, especially students that are doing graduate work. We need to pursue smart development. We are already doing community monitoring. We need to do it much better. We need to make the data speak to us. We need to make the data speak to us. We are collecting too much. Probably we don't even know what we are collecting. Is it speaking to us? Is it speaking to the problems that we need to address? The big change coming is in artificial intelligence. Are we using it? Are we there yet? Are we moving closer? And the elephant in the dark room, the addition of the word dark is what attracted me. We always say the elephant in the room. But he has added that the elephant in the dark room. So we have a lot of work to do. I think the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker said that we have a lot of work to do. And the reason why we are here and having these water weeks is really to get to know what is happening out there. I nearly got lost in just moving around the globe, but seated in this room. Morris? No, Morris knows how to disappear. You are there? Okay. We need to call our team together. We are getting into our panel discussion, and we have a number of people.
You still had Professor Deacon. Professor Leith Deacon. I need to check that we have him online. Is he available? Professor is even in the room. So, Jet, yes. Please invite Professor.
Yes. Professor, please come up. Professor Leith Deacon, look at page 37. You know, sometimes when you start to summarize and re-summarize somebody's bio, you lose the gist, and I don't want to do that. Professor, you're welcome, and thank God you are here. Not that Hash is Hash, you are missing. You're missing a lot, but we know you are still in the room. So, Prof, over to you.
Thank you very much. I do have slides somewhere.
Technical team, please. Technical team. Mr. Chizito Xavier, if I don't see you somewhere up there, I feel.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much for inviting me to speak at this year's Uganda Water and Environment Week. This is my second visit to this wonderful and welcoming country. Last night I attended the Ndiri Cultural Center and I watched that amazing dance troupe. It was one of the most incredible things that I have ever experienced, and it was something that I will never forget. During that, we were reminded to focus not on our differences, but on our commonalities. Whether you are old or whether you are young, whether you are rich or poor or educated or uneducated, we are people first. And it made me think of my talk today, enhancing resilience in rural areas. I looked at sub-Saharan Africa and rural Ontario, Canada. And at first, I think perhaps some of you might be wondering, what could our similarities be? And I think it is important to be able to find common ground. So today, I hope that when we're discussing resilience, when we're talking about water and the environment, we share we realize that we share many, many commonalities. Rural resilience is not just about survival. It's about creating sustainable, self-sufficient communities that can withstand and adapt to external pressures. In Uganda, unpredictable weather, limited access to resources, and economic instability are major concerns. Meanwhile, in Ontario, where I'm from, the challenges are different, but equally pressing, including climate variability, declining labor pools, and economic shifts. Despite these challenges, both regions have significant opportunities to enhance resilience through sustainable resource management, through economic diversification, and through community-driven development. Climate change is quite obviously one of the biggest threats to rural resilience. Water is a critical factor in both regions. Across Uganda, where droughts threaten crops, and in Ontario, where sustainable water use supports agriculture. Without reliable water sources, agriculture productivity declines, food security is threatened, and economic opportunities decrease. Innovative solutions like rainwater harvesting and efficient irrigation systems are proving successful in increasing agricultural output and resilience. Similarly, land conservation is equally important. In Uganda, agroforestry techniques prevent soil erosion and improve crop yields, while in Ontario, cover cropping and regenerative agriculture maintain soil health and increase productivity. Energy resilience also is critical when we're talking about rural resilience. Solar paneled irrigation in Africa, wind farms across Ontario reduce reliance on fossil fuels. They lower production costs. Excuse me. Investing in water management, soil health, and renewable energy ensures long-term economic and environmental stability for rural communities. Economic resilience means not relying on one industry, not relying on one commodity. Rural communities must diversify their income sources to remain sustainable. Across Uganda, across sub-Saharan Africa, smallholder farmers are increasing their earnings by expanding into agro-processing, such as drying and packaging fruits or processing grains for sale in larger markets. In rural Ontario, farmers are improving profitability through value-added agricultural products, including but not limited to organic dairy, craft beverages, and specialty crops. These approaches not only increase incomes, but also make rural businesses more competitive in the marketplace. However, market access remains a significant challenge in both regions. In Uganda, poor road networks and lack of storage facilities often lead to product loss before products reach the market. In Ontario, rural businesses struggle with scaling their operations and competing in larger urban-centered markets. Solutions include improving infrastructure, improving digital access, and financial support. Government initiatives and private sector investments in rural roads, e-commerce platforms, and microfinance programs are helping our rural communities expand their businesses and secure better incomes. Rural communities are often their own best problem solvers, and I think that is the most important thing that I can say. Rural communities are often their most effective problem solvers. I think you all know that. It is critical that we engage with the community directly. Community-led initiatives play a significant role in ensuring sustainable economic growth. Across Uganda, cooperative farming markets allow small-scale farmers to pool resources, access better markets, and share technology and knowledge. In Ontario, farmer-led organizations help shape policies, and they help provide support for agricultural innovation. Education and workforce development are also crucial. Vocational training for youth, for women, help create new job opportunities and prevent rural depopulation. Digital skills training enables farmers and small businesses to use e-commerce and mobile technology to expand their reach. Governments and private sector also have a role to play. Infrastructure investment in irrigation, in renewable energy, and road networks strengthen rural communities and provides opportunities for these businesses to grow. Collaborative partnerships between policymakers, between businesses and communities ensure that rural populations can adapt to change, can improve their incomes, and build a more resilient future. Now, the first section I want to focus on here is on water and environmental resources as pillars, particularly in enhancing rural resilience. Water and environmental resources play a critical role in ensuring the stability and sustainability of rural economies. These resources support agriculture, economic growth, and environmental health, all of which are essential components to resilience. Without proper management, rural communities in both Uganda, across sub-Saharan Africa, in rural Ontario, face challenges such as water scarcity, land degradation, and unpredictable climate conditions. Across sub-Saharan Africa, for example, droughts and erratic rainfalls have made farming difficult, leading to food insecurity and economic instability. Meanwhile, in Ontario, climate change is affecting our water cycles, our soil quality, and our agricultural productivity. Both regions require sustainable strategies to protect and utilize water and environmental resources effectively. Water is a fundamental resource. It is a fundamental resource that supports agriculture, that supports industry and daily life across rural communities. Without reliable access to water, food production declines, businesses struggle, and communities become more vulnerable to economic and environmental shocks. Across Uganda, across sub-Saharan Africa, many rural communities lack proper irrigation. They lack improper infrastructure, making farming highly dependent on rainfall. When droughts occur, food shortages and economic downturns follow. Solutions such as solar-powered irrigation systems, rainwater harvesting, and watershed restoration have proven to be effective. In Ontario, water is generally more available, but challenges like overuse, pollution, and shifting weather patterns pose risk to long-term sustainability. Smart irrigation technologies, wetland conservation projects, water recycling initiatives help protect water resources while ensuring that rural economies remain strong. Then land is one of the most valuable resources for rural communities, supporting not only agriculture, but also forestry, tourism, and biodiversity. However, poor land management, climate change, and unsustainable farming practices can lead to land degradation, making it difficult for communities to sustain their livelihoods. In Uganda and across sub-Saharan Africa, desertification, deforestation are significant challenges. As land quality declines, crop yields decrease. Farmers lose their income. Agroforestry, which involves planting trees alongside crops, helps prevent soil erosion, helps increase soil fertility. In Ontario, overuse of farmland and the loss of forests have led to soil depletion and a significant decline in biodiversity. Sustainable farming techniques such as cover cropping and reforestation help maintain land productivity while reducing environmental harm. Climate change presents a growing threat, increasing the frequency of extreme weather events, such as droughts, such as floods, and in Canada, more recently, such as wildfires. These changes put pressure on agriculture, put pressure on water supply, and put significant pressure on existing infrastructures, making it essential to implement effective adaptation strategies. One of the most effective ways to combat climate-related risk is through sustainable water management. By investing in rainwater harvesting, efficient irrigation, and watershed conservation, rural communities can reduce their vulnerability to droughts and water shortages. Governments and communities must work together to implement policy change, infrastructure investment, and conservation programs that support climate adaptation and sustainable rural development. Now, this next section is going to focus on the role of water and environmental resources related to improving livelihoods. Water and environmental resources play a crucial role in ensuring economic stability and improved livelihoods in our rural communities. These resources provide the foundation for agricultural productivity, job creation, and climate resilience. Across sub-Saharan Africa, challenges such as water scarcity, desertification, and extreme climate conditions make it difficult for many to sustain their livelihoods. Meanwhile, in Ontario, climate change, land degradation, and market fluctuations present unique threats to economic stability. To enhance the resilience and improve the incomes, rural areas must invest in sustainable water management, land conservation, and infrastructure development. Reliable access to water is the foundation of rural economic development. Without adequate water management, agricultural productivity declines, food insecurity increases, and rural economies suffer. Across the African sub-Saharan continent, many farmers still depend, as I mentioned on rain-fed agriculture, making their production highly vulnerable to this ongoing climate change, ongoing concern around climate challenges. However, regions that have invested in irrigation systems have seen farm yields increase by over 200%. In Ontario, smart water management is a crucial way in which we can reduce costs and improve efficiency for commercial farming. Beyond farming, access to water supports rural business expansion, particularly in food processing industries. Sectors such as dairy production, fruit drying, and agro-processing rely on stable water supplies. Ensuring water security not only protects agricultural livelihoods, but also expands economic opportunities by enabling value-added industries. Sustainable land management is a fundamental pillar to long-term economic growth in rural communities. And by maintaining healthy soil, by maintaining healthy forests and ecosystems, communities can ensure consistent agricultural productivity, environmental stability, and economic resilience. Environmental conservation efforts also can create new and alternative income opportunities for rural residents. Another growing sector is ecotourism, which has become a source of employment and investment in both regions that I've been discussing. Protected landscapes, forests, wildlife reserves attract tourists, generating revenue for local businesses, hospitality services, and conservation initiatives. Land conservation must be prioritized, and sustainable resource management is critical to ensure the long-term health of our rural communities. Climate continues to present a significant challenge to rural economic stability, making infrastructure, making investment and policy support essential for long-term growth. Education and workforce training programs also can play a crucial role in economic resilience. Policy support and financial incentives help make these investments accessible. Governments and private sector organizations provide subsidies, they provide grants and infrastructure funding, all critical for the long-term health and resilience of our rural communities. And the last section I'm going to talk about is water and environmental resources as drivers of rural livelihoods and of incomes. The connection between water and environmental resources are not just natural necessities. They are economic enablers that directly impact the livelihoods, the stability, and the resilience of our rural communities. When managed effectively, they boost agricultural productivity, they create economic opportunities, and they reduce financial risks associated with the ongoing climatic challenges. However, rural communities in both regions face significant resource-related challenges. Water shortages, soil degradation, food insecurity. Rain-fed agriculture continues to be a challenge. Droughts, water infrastructure, irrigation systems, conservation strategies, all are limiting factors to how we are handling this ongoing crisis. Water security is a fundamental driver. It is critical that we take it on head-on when we're designing policy and we're responding to these challenges. Many farmers, need increased access, improved access to water, which makes their incomes a little bit more predictable in terms of long-term sustainability. Water access is critical for our rural businesses, for industries, for food processing, for textiles, for rural tourism. It is one system, and that is how we have to start to consider this. Environmental resources are a foundation for long-term economic stability. Healthy land, forests, and agriculture are all part of this. We have to start taking a systems approach when we're designing our policy response. And then getting into policy, strategic policies and targeted investments are essential. It is critical that without government and private sector support, rural communities struggle to access the resources. It's critical that we are working in collaboration between these three areas to make our long-term goals achievable. Community-led initiatives are critical. Collaboration is essential, all of which help us build a long-term sustainable rural economy. Now, I could go on and on about some conclusions, but I'm going to be quite quick here. Water and environmental resources are fundamental. I've said this. Economic stability, resilience, and long-term prosperity are integrally tied to their long-term provision. Sustainable water and land management practices are essential for not only food security, but also incomes in our rural communities. Sustainable resource management fosters job creation. It fosters ecotourism. These industries provide diversified sources of income. To achieve lasting rural resilience, governments, businesses, communities must work together. That is the critical message that I'm trying to promote. Collaboration is the only way forward. And then speaking of collaboration, building resilient and prosperous rural communities require multiple sectors to be involved. No single group can address the complex challenges of water security. No single group can respond to environmental sustainability or economic development alone. Academia, government, and the private sector innovators must work together. They must work together to create effective, research-driven, and critically scalable solutions. Academic institutions play a vital role in advancing research, education, and technological development. Governments have the responsibility to support rural development through policy, through infrastructure investment, and funding initiatives. The private sector, particularly in agriculture, technology, and renewable energy, plays a very, very critical role in driving innovation for rural resilience. So I'll leave you with this. Policymakers must prioritize investments in water security, sustainable agriculture, and infrastructure development. Businesses and investors must support rural enterprises and green innovation, and local communities must embrace cooperative models and knowledge sharing to strengthen their resilience. Whether you are a policymaker or a business leader, a researcher, or a community member, your involvement matters. It is critical that everybody plays their part and participates. Together, we can build a resilient, a prosperous, and self-sufficient rural community across Uganda, across sub-Saharan Africa, and across rural Ontario. Let's commit to sustainable solutions today to ensure a thriving future for tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Deacon. Another applause for Dr. Deacon. Thank you so very much. Thank you for taking us to rural Ontario. I wasn't too sure whether rural Ontario, how does it look like? Does it look like my grandmother's village?
No.
But thank you for that, right? One quick question for Prof. A quick one, a burning one, before I invite Dr. Kallis to do something. Yes, Lalit.
I think you covered everything in the art, like, you know, when you are speaking of the water resource management, environmental protection and all. And it was really amazing presentation, to be very honest. You didn't leave any stone unturned. But when I was listening to you, I was thinking like where to start. And also, like, it is of course true that all of them are happening. It's not that nothing is happening. Yeah. Things are happening. But how to organize ourselves and where to start, and how the government can be a good regulator through policy and all, and how to make sure that the private sector really get thrive into the different type of business that you are talking about, starting from irrigation to production of gas crops. Even my subject, like, if you say that 4 million people are defecating in open still now, like there's a big market in sanitation promotion, for example. Is microfinance accessible to the people who can probably aspiring to build a toilet at their home? You know, so those kind of stuff, like, you know, I was just thinking in different directions. And also fecal sludge management, which is not seen at all as a subject, unfortunately, except in urban areas. The rural areas, nobody is looking at that. So, yeah, it's a big business. Huh? It's a big paradigm, big business, but how to make it and how to engage private sector into the process and how to make use of the huge youth mass in the country. And there are plenty of youth groups available in the country who are probably talking in terms of like, you know, as an activist, you know, like they're trying to protect the climate, this and that. But to engage them into a business for climate, you know, adaptation, maybe that would be kind of a new direction I think we need to all think through, you know. Thank you.
I think, I mean, there's two parts to this answer. I think here in Uganda, your wealth is your youth. It's coming from a country that is much older to seeing groups come up like we saw earlier, or the dance troupe. You have such an incredible resource in your youth. They are involved in Uganda's development, all of the AI technologies, the networking, the connectivity. This is what they know. That is where you should start, I think, because it is them that have the energy and the excitement to lead this forward. The next step, I think, though, is no offense to government officials, but to get out of the way. Let communities lead these discussions. Be there to support those discussions. Be there to support what they need. They know what they need. And I think that is a universal issue. There is a tendency for our national capitals to dictate so much policy. I don't care if you're in Ontario, so Toronto dictates all of our policy. I was brought up in Northern Ontario, a 5-hour drive on a 4-lane highway away. They have no idea what goes on in my small little town that doesn't have broadband internet, doesn't have piped water. They assume everybody lives in a big urban center. It's critical that decisions are based in the realities that people face, and then the government gets behind those with policy and support. That's where I would start.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Calist. I need you here. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
I think we may need to talk a little bit more. That small village of yours, if it doesn't have all those things, then what will I say? Mine, Dr. Deacon, mine has internet. It has connection. Good connection.
Sorry, one last thing. During the COVID pandemic, like everybody, we were sidelined, sent home. And I was sitting at home with my wife, and there was an interview on our national radio, the Canadian Broadcasting Company, with one of our economic ministers saying, we are here for Canadians. We have everything you need to send your kids to school digitally for e-learning. And then there is Uber Eats, DoorDash, all of these platforms. I was sitting in my Uber Eats-less, DoorDash-less, we don't have broadband internet community, thinking, you Toronto-focused politician, you do not understand what goes on in rural spaces. It's shocking to me.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Calist. Please do the needful. Dr. Hash, is Dr. Hash still?
We need him.
Dr. Hash, can you please put Dr. Hash up there for us?
Thank you very much, moderator. I would like to take this opportunity to invite Honorable Herbert Aliko, Chairperson, Natural Resources Committee of Parliament, to come forward and give an award to one of our keynote speakers, Professor Ruth Deacon. Honorable, let's give an applause to Honorable as takes the floor.
Professor Leith Deacon would like to appreciate you for a very moving and informative keynote address that you've given. We appreciate the fact that you find Uganda a country rich not just in natural resources but also in culture. This is a small souvenir from the organizers of the Uganda Water and Environment Week to commemorate you are being part and parcel of this week's event. Congratulations and thank you.
Let me also take this opportunity to invite the chairperson of Climate Change Parliamentary Committee, Honorable Vika Songa, to take the floor and award our other keynote, Dr. Hash. Dr. Hash, I hope you are there online. So I want to award you online. We talked about artificial intelligence, so we are doing things virtually. So I will represent Dr. Hash since he's online, and Dr. Hash, I hope you are there. So I will receive this and pass it over to you online.
I thought we were going to use disruptive technology. Thank you, Dr. Hash. I would like to take this opportunity to give this award to Dr. Nagaraja Rao Hash, the global lead in disruptive technology at the World Bank, in appreciation of his contribution as keynote speaker during the Uganda Water and Environment Week 2025 event on 17th March 2025. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
very
very much.
Next time I see you.
Over to you.
Thank you very much. Disruptive technology is what we need. But let's get into our panel discussion. My panelists, Mr. Abbas Mawanda.
Yes, Jen, just before they come, and I know they are coming, we didn't want to lose you, so we agreed in principle, thanks to Dr. Kalista and the PS. And I'm glad the LC5 chairman saw the light much earlier. So if you, one of those who needs a small bite and a quick coffee, the serving centers are open, but we will continue, so you will miss out on the conversation. We are not breaking. The ushers will let you know where to go, so any usher at the back will let you know where to go. The VIPs, there is also ushers on this side. They will also let you know where to go. However, the panelists, we will find a way of bringing the tea to you, because for us, we are continuing, so we will not have a single break. All right, back to you, Jeff.
Thank you, Maurice. Thank you, Maurice. So if you need a cup of tea or you need something, please, this is your home. And I think we didn't mention the nice toilets are not too far. Please, especially for those that are coming here for the first time, you go out and you'll see them out there. And they are on each floor, so feel comfortable. I'd like to invite Mr. Abbas Mawanda from Postbank. He's the Chief Corporate and Institutional Banking Officer. Can we please welcome Mr. Mawanda? My good Honorable, I'd like to invite you back. Honorable Herbert Ariko is the Chairperson of the Natural Resources Committee of Parliament of Uganda. Mr. Paul Flynn Mukalazi, nice to have you back. Thank you for coming once again. Mr. Mukalazi is founder and patron of Grow Foundation. My good friend and brother, Mr. Tom Sengalama, I was informed you are representing the UN resident representative. Tom is from UNDP. Tom, you're welcome. Technical team, my boss is online, so can you check whether Dr. Patrick Moriarty is online? That's my boss. I work for IRC. And my CEO is online, or should be online. Please let me know. And then my good professor, Professor Alex Ariho. Nice to... But you are part of us, so sometimes I'm not too sure whether to welcome you or to say welcome home. Or Professor Alex Ariho is the Director General of Africa Agribusiness Incubators Network. He sits in Accra, Ghana, but he's He's our good brother and friend. Okay. Let me stand here so that I can balance the gender. Thank you very much for coming. Tom, I can't see your smile, your usual smile, so should I get worried? No, no worries. Okay. We will start with a general question, which we shared with you. I think you have the general question. Water and environment resources are fundamental to sustainable development, economic transformation, and community resilience. How can Uganda optimize the use of these resources to strengthen resilience against climate change and enhance incomes and livelihoods for its people? I'll start with you, Mr. Mawanda. 2 quick minutes, and then we get into our other questions.
Thank you very much, moderator. I think I'll attempt that question from a banking perspective. First of all, I would like to inform our audience about our bank in a short brief. We are a fully government-owned bank, and this bank has operated so much within the rural setup of this country. So we have over 58 branches, but largely in the rural areas of the country. We've just expanded within the urban centers. So for us, water and environment is very key. And why? The bank finances a lot agriculture. When you look at our portfolio, more than 40% is in agriculture, both crop and animal. The bank has done a lot with cooperatives within the country. So if we are to enhance incomes and livelihoods within the communities we operate in, it's very, very pertinent to ensure that we create sustainability in the businesses they run, the businesses we finance. So this sustainability cannot be detached with water and environment. So what we've done as a bank, we've been able to come up with tailored products that support the water sector. When you engage people largely in agriculture, we've supported them in the irrigation schemes. So if someone is to do irrigation, we've offered them subsidized products in terms of pricing. And also, we've been able to mobilize people within their communities to form cooperatives and circles and finance them in the cooperatives they run. So you'll find that entities like those in animal, we focus so much on cattle. They can't really access financing unless they are together as a cooperative. So we've been able to mobilize them, do financial inclusion, and finance them within their cooperatives to ensure that they do boreholes and mini dams, water dams, to at least sustain their farms in the rural setup. So back in town, we've been able to do a lot of engagements, support entities that are towards water. When you look at most of our products, especially in the education sector, we've been able to detach water from the main products. For example, if a school is to access financing, we detach the water requirement because we have to give them that requirement at subsidized interest rates, and then focus on the other at a different setup altogether.
Thank you, Mr. Mawanda. Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay. Honorable, your take on the question. How can Uganda optimize the use of these resources to strengthen resilience?
Thank you so very much, Jen. Just again, for the sake of the audience that may have come in later, my name is Herbert Edmund Ariko, Member of Parliament, Soroti City East Division. I chair the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources of Parliament. And first of all, water and environment are part and parcel of the very existence of humanity. So for us to be able to harness water resources, but at the same time be mindful of sustainable environmental use. It's at the core of the very existence of humanity. Now, first and foremost, 70% of the Ugandan economy is reliant on agriculture. And yet, you find that it is therefore important for us to look at the aspect of climate smart agriculture, whereby we don't need at this stage to principally rely so much on natural rainwater sources as a way of being able to water our crops. We could look at irrigation, as my colleague has said, as one of the core elements that we use to ensure that our farmers, our agriculturists, are able to sustainably receive water for their crop and for their animals. And indeed, one of the aspects now that must be focused on as policymakers and as a government is the element of solar-powered irrigation schemes. I want to thank this ministry. They had started with a project in which mini irrigation schemes were being dotted in several parts of the country. Unfortunately, though, some of them have not been able to take off, but a few others took off but didn't have sufficient water sources in them. We need now to focus, together with our development partners, to ensure that these irrigation schemes, one, first of all, have strong solar power irrigation facilities in them, but also two, that more and more farmers are recruited to be able to cover these schemes. For instance, at Alere, somewhere in Dakabela, just close by where I also have a farm, a number of people amounting to about 30 farmers have been benefiting from a small-scale irrigation scheme, which in its initial stages started as something that bared a lot of promise to the farmers. But unfortunately, the more it became more economically viable, the area that had been covered, because initially the scheme was for 13 acres, but the ministry was only able to cover up to 7 acres of the 13. Now the 7 acres reduced the number of plots. Now the reduction in the plots indeed made the farmers not to produce to the capacity which they were supposed to have gone into. The second thing that I could also want to hint on in looking at this aspect of resilience is the issue of harnessing renewable energy sources. One of the issues that are the core of our country's climate change mitigation process is to ensure that the energy sources are focused on those that ensure that the people are able to receive the energy, but receive energy without necessarily letting down the aspect of environmental protection, as well as ensuring that aspects of climate change mitigation are focused on. I wanted to look at one more aspect of promoting afforestation and carbon credits. Now, 14% of Uganda's land is covered hitherto by forests. But as we all know, most of our natural forests are getting degraded. One, because of energy sources, firewood, charcoal. The other is the issue of construction that is all over. We would like to see that at a policy level, government strengthens our policy system and the compliance mechanisms so that whether people are in high positions, whether people are in privileged positions, if they are found to be those that are engaged in activities that degrade our forest cover, the deterrent measures taken upon them must be those that don't look at rank and file. Secondly, that the aspect of promoting reforestation by tree planting is something that should form the core of our system of formation, right from schools, right into institutions, and all the other partners. And indeed, even people that are engaged in commercial forestation projects must be supported as a policy. You know that the aspect of carbon financing, Uganda has been rated at about 33 million carbon credits. And indeed, if we harness this, our country stands to gain for up to $200 million annually from carbon credits alone. So this is one of the ways that I think that we can be able to promote our resilience. The last thing that I wanted to mention for now is the issue of ensuring that we do strengthen our early warning systems. You realize that just on Saturday, we had a cyclone hit Kalangala Island, where a lot of buildings were destroyed. A lot of crops was also swept away. But this was something in a country of Uganda that is living in this era that appeared like it was a surprise to all of us. So, one of the things we want to employ as a government to our development partners is to support the process of developing and strengthening early warning systems in the country so that we can be able to detect, prepare, and mitigate the effect of natural disaster. I want to say, as a leader, whereas the Uganda Meteorological Department, so to say now, has been mainstreamed back into the ministry, as a Committee of Environment and Natural Resources, we would like to work together with you as a ministry to ensure that, one, it gets soft landing back into the ministry, but also, two, that we ensure that resources allocated for the meteorology system of the country do not come further down than it is today. Because besides its support in climate change detection, as well as environmental protection warning systems, it is also one of the elements that we use for aviation. And without security in aviation, we are also doomed to other forms of disaster. I want to thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable, and thank you. The thing that hit Kalanga, you know what the locals are saying? That a small Satan, a small demon was rotating on Lake Victoria, and it got more annoyed, and it hit Kalanga. So when you translate it to the local languages, it really sounds not funny, weird. Like a small Kasitani kettle, it went round and round and round. Mr. Mkalazi, over to you. How can we utilize our resources more effectively for resilience purposes?
With pleasure. I'm here to answer a key question that remains in this room. How do we pay for all of this? So the Grow Foundation, we are a social impact organization dedicated to ending poverty using carbon finance. So we've mastered the compliance, we've validated certificates. I'll talk about that in a second. The Honorable Minister earlier on has mentioned that Uganda needs $3 to $5 billion in order to implement the projects. And I must remind everybody in this room, Uganda is rich. So doesn't really matter as much. Who you are does. Because the plans that this ministry has made, that the Honorable Minister has made, that the Permanent Secretary has made, that this gentleman has made, the plans are there. The knowledge is there. The problems are known. The only question is, where on earth do we get $3 to $5 billion on average to pay for it? And it cannot be grants. It cannot be loans. It cannot be debt-based finance. Because Uganda has a right to stand on its own feet. It needs to be generated through income, through sales. And that is what carbon finance is. And I'd like to change that mindset. So here's the opportunity. Last year, Germany alone, as a government, spent $5 billion on carbon certificates that even turned out to be low quality. What Uganda can produce, what the Honorable Minister just mentioned, Member of Parliament, is already there. They need the credits that can be produced here. We're advising and analyzing about 100 stock-listed companies at the moment. So we know their demand for carbon credits. I'll mention one company by itself out of 100. Lufthansa, over the next 25 years, they are the German premier airline, needs 380 million carbon certificates. That's after they've done all the work of mitigation. They estimate they'll have to invest 40 to 60 billion US dollars into carbon certificates. That is your money. A single company, if the compliance and paperwork is done right, has the budget set aside in their plans to pay for what is needed here. Now, what we do is that allocation. We have validated 3 projects at the moment. The first is ready to the market. We have already produced 100 million carbon certificates ready for sale. That's 3 years. 3 years of the production that Uganda can do. We're advising Saudi Arabia on setting up their marketplace. We're talking to India to launch projects, Indonesia, India, Malaysia, and we're here. We're here to do this. We want to spearhead, as an example, through active reforestation and showing that carbon finance can be done and utilized, not as a policy measure, as a financial product that we have already listed. It's insured by Lloyd's of London, and multiple big funds are looking at it. We're talking to multiple central banks right now. And as a foundation, just one sentence. I'm half Ugandan. I'm part of the diaspora. The paperwork that you need so that Uganda can generate carbon certificates by itself, we will do that paperwork for free. It's my duty.
Thank you, Mr. Mkalazi. My commissioner has gone. I think has stepped out for climate change. I think she's already started telling us all about this, but in Uganda. So, Mr. Mkalazi, we definitely should continue working together. Mr. Tom Sengalama, your take on this?
Yeah, thank you. My name is Tom Sengalama. I work for UNDP as a team leader for nature, climate, energy, and resilience. And I was not supposed to sit here, but my boss asked me to step in. So I will step in and try to answer this question. One, from many people have talked from the point of view of use and benefit. I think it's also important to reflect on the protection part. Before we start optimizing a use, one, we need to protect the resource. One of the challenges we have with water resources management is that we look at water, we look at how we are extracting it and how we are distributing it, but we talk very little about how we are managing it. And that's why most of the water resources are being degraded. Lake shores are being degraded, riverbanks are being degraded, important water catchments are being degraded, and very little investment is going into that area. Even when you talk about transboundary water conversations, like the Nile, the Egyptians will talk about the volume of water reaching their home. They never talk about the number of water towers that are being degraded in the upper catchments. Now, unless we address that, however much you try to optimize use, you are going to lose the water. The other one is pollution. Our biggest lake, our biggest fishery in Africa, freshwater fishery in Africa, is being polluted by all the cities that are mushrooming around it. What are we doing? So for me, optimization of this water starts with realizing that this water has value, attaching proper value to it, looking at the real drivers of degradation of this water, and taking proactive steps to protect it. We are not short of water. We can produce a lot of water. We have a lot of water towers, a lot of water catchments. We have over 100 lakes in this country. We have a number of rivers, but why should we be discussing water today? We are discussing water today because we are not investing adequately in managing this water resource before we start distributing it for use. So that's where I come from. And UNDP globally has a nature pledge where water is at the center of that water pledge in trying to support countries, over 140 countries, to accelerate their objective towards the 2030 agenda. And it is looking at three things. One, we want us to understand the value of these resources that we manage, attaching value to these resources. If we know the real value, Honorable MP, we are going to apportion more resources to protecting them. And we are going to ensure we follow up to make sure they are protected. So attaching value is very important. The other one is actually mobilizing resources. He has talked about carbon markets. How do we, once we have valued these resources, then we are able to attach a market value to them, and we are able to charge the right cost when it comes to carbon markets. But once you don't know what you are selling, you are not even going to know how much to charge. So we need to attach value to these resources, and we need to attach a financial figure to it. The third one, of course, is the policy and practice. Once we have done all this, we think we need to look at our policies and see whether they are supportive enough, and then implement those policies to achieve our objectives. Once we do those things, I think the use will be a given, because we shall have good water in good quantities, and people will access them, fisheries will access them, animals will access them, and nature will flourish. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sengalama. Tech team, is Dr. Moriarty online? He's online. Okay. Dr. Moriarty, I'll come to you last. Prof, yes. Your take on the general question. Doctor, I'll come to you after Professor Alex. Thank you.
Thanks once again. I'm Alex Sariho, the CEO of AIN. AIN is a network of incubators and accelerators in Africa. We operate in the 55 member states of the African Union based in Ghana, under the Department of Agriculture, Rural and Brew Economy. So in the context of the brew economy is why we are discussing about and participating and supporting the Uganda government and other actors in the space of water and environment. Now, very interesting question, and I've heard also from my colleagues their submission, but I think there is a fundamental question that we need to answer first of all. Why are we here? The first keynote speaker talked about the importance of focusing our response and our discussion around people. And what are the issues that the continent is facing and the country that we need to respond to? One, the issue of food insecurity. Two, incomes. People need money. Three, jobs. So, for us to take the advantage of water and environmental resources is to make sure that we are responding to the issues at hand. You'll agree with me that it is not easy to conserve an environment and you entrust a resource with a hungry person, a jobless person, to look after the resource. My brother Tom, you'll agree with me, 2007 to 2010, we worked together in Uganda and we are looking at collaborative forest management approaches. So I think it is important to structure water and environmental resources management around strategic areas. One, market-driven investment. I hear people still talking about support. We need to move from business as usual, talk about investment options around water and environment. That's when people put resources. Two, we need to look at incentives and benefits. What is in it for me? If you entrust me with a resource and talk about what I need to do business, I need a job, I need to pay school fees at the end of the day. So it is important. For example, now, we should be discussing about how can water and environmental management interventions be part of the discussion of the continental, Africa Continental Free Trade Area. For us to be able to support sustainable businesses that are competitive, we must manage the resources. Now, we must change the narrative, the debate around the critical issues that are being confronted by our society. Lastly, I want to sum it all in the 4 areas, the way I look at it. One, from the first presenter, the second keynote address, and from the discussions here, it is important that we get out of the room and we do what we call creative thinking. We need to start using the design thinking approach.
bring the private sector. Don't talk about the private sector by only talk about maybe 2 actors in the private sector space. We need to get the market drivers. 2, it's right time that we look at what we call co-financing approaches. The so-called partners, the development, private sector, the government, we need to sit on table and put resources together. That's called co-financing. 3, we need to look at the structured co-implementation program. The roles and responsibilities need to be very clear. Let's not be generic and say water is a resource and everybody is going to manage the resource. No. Roles and responsibilities and indicators of success. Can we tell from the first water week, second water week, now is the 8th. Can we now in the next 9th draw a curve and show how are we moving in terms of results that are responding to jobs, income, and food. Lastly, co-learning. We must get out of the blame game. Who is right, who is wrong. It's a journey. So we need to continue, document, evidence-based, at the same time, take the challenges as opportunities as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. I think Professor's points are clear, and Dr. Kallis, these are discussions we've been having for a very long time. So we need to start drawing that curve. Dr. Patrick Moriarty, can I have tech team? Yes. You're welcome. You're welcome, Patrick. 8th Water Week. I know you had to do many things to get to where you are seated now, but thank you very much. Had to travel from the UK to the Netherlands, sit in the office, and then join this opening session. We are going ahead with the first, the general question. How can Uganda, but you can substitute, you are chair of the Sanitation and Water for All, over 100 countries. So how can we optimize the use of these resources, of the water and environmental resources, to strengthen resilience against climate change and enhance incomes and livelihoods for our people?
Great. Thank you so much, Jay, and good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm Patrick Moriarty. I'm the CEO of IRC Wash, also James' boss sometimes, and I'm the chair of Sanitation Water for All, the global partnership for sanitation and water. So, firstly, I think it's great coming after all those other amazing interventions, all of which I agree with. And let me speak a little bit from the perspective of drinking water, and particularly drinking water in rural areas. And I think what's been so motivating to hear all the previous speakers is the strong focus on the importance of water as what I call an economic resource. So a resource that improves people's ability to generate income, that make sure clean water, but make sure they're healthy so that they can do a job. And I think if we're particularly talking about rural areas, which are often a little bit left out, one of the biggest challenges we face is that we treat the supply of drinking water as somehow separate to the productive systems that you've been talking about, the irrigation, the livestock, the businesses. And because of that, we separate drinking water off from all those sources of income that can make it sustainable. We invest billions of dollars every year in building drinking water infrastructure, much of which doesn't meet the needs. And I love that point about the design-focused approach, much of which does not meet the needs of rural water users. We invest $10,000 in developing a borehole, and then we put a hand pump on it that is limited to giving people a few litres a day of drinking water when their needs are much bigger. They may want to do small-scale irrigation around their house. They may have livestock that they want to give water to. I think, over 20 years or so, we've developed a lot of experience in better integrating in rural areas domestic drinking water needs with broader production. But unfortunately, that hasn't been to scale. So I think the point I'd like to leave you with, and again, because so much has already been said, from a very specific focus on the human right to clean drinking water for everyone, is let's connect drinking water to other aspects of people's economic and productive well-being. Let's take a design-centered approach that starts with looking at rural people's needs, their needs for clean drinking water, but also their needs for water productive purposes. Because if we look at the biggest challenge we face, and I've faced in my entire career, it's in the domestic water sector, it's the challenge of sustainability. And that challenge is so often linked to the fact that there is no real business case behind the water supplies that we're providing. It's not clear how the income is supposed to be generated to pay for the operation and maintenance over time of those drinking water sources. And so I think making this link be more holistic in how we think about providing drinking water in rural areas is one very simple message that I'd like to leave you with, and hopefully have a chance to discuss further. So thank you very much, Jane. Thank you very much, Pam.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Thank you. And good to know that you joined early enough and you listened in to the other submissions. Now we are getting into a marathon. It was good, Maurice, to have this general question. I think it's covered quite some good ground. And I'll only need 2 minutes from each of you to answer one of the 2 or 3 questions that we shared with you. I think Dr. Moriarty has made it clear that we have not been able to probably present a good business case for the kind of things that we have. And I think, Prof, you made it very clear. Investments. Is it a sector worth talking about in terms of investments? Without forgetting that water is also a public good. So where does it leave us? So I'll start with you, Mr. Mawanda. You already shared with us what the Post Bank does, but I would like you to share with us more. As a financial institution, Post Bank is a financial institution, but as a financial institution, what are the key opportunities, 1 or 2, and key challenges in financing this kind of work, in financing sustainable water and environment, infrastructure and distribution of water and sanitation and hygiene stuff?
Thank you very much. I think to appreciate the financing of this kind of work and the challenges we face, we have to first of all appreciate the stakeholders involved in this whole value chain. In banking, there is something we usually call the ecosystem around the entire sector. The opportunities, let me start with the opportunities we have. The opportunity is that as banks and financial institutions, there is a lot of need for water-related financing in the country. Why? Us, like I had earlier mentioned, us who finance a lot of agriculture and businesses that are related to agribusiness, you realize that the rural setup where these businesses are being conducted, and even in the urban, they are in their need of water and good water resources. So we've been able to tailor products to finance that. But above all, we also have to support the contractors and other people, other players within that sector. So we've been able to come up with working capital lines for such players, and above all, to come up with what I would call concessional pricing for them. Why? It's because when you look at the margins they have within the work they do, if you subject them to the market pricing of facilities, you have a challenge. But that is on the side of financing, but also on the side of providing other financial services. When I say that, I mean you find that some players will need to do FX, some players will need bank assurance because of the risks involved in their work. So we've been able, as a bank, to put up a fully fledged unit, which we've branded as sustainability, and that's where water falls, to ensure that we are able to tailor products. But the challenges we have, I'll start with the first challenge being liquidity in terms of extending these facilities on concessional terms. You need to partner with other partners. Right now, the bank has been able to partner with the French Development Agency to be able at least to get cheaper financing, not only to use depositor funds. You need to have other partners who have technical knowledge around that. We work closely with the Grow Foundation. So these partners help the bank to offer not only financing, but also the technical knowledge when we engage these stakeholders. Also, you realize that in the whole of our country,